Many drivers hoped that the craziness of Talladega would bring an opportunity to close in on Bradley Holly's points lead and provide a chance for a surprise winner. And while Brandon Walter checked off that surprise winner box, it was a disappointment for competitors to see that Bradley Holly came home with a second place finish, only to extend his lead in the standings. Holly's proved that he can race well at short tracks, mile-and-a-half tracks, and even super speedways now. Tonight we go back to the style of racing we saw dominate the early portion of the schedule as the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series storms into the tiny state of Delaware to the downtown Capital City Stadium, better known as Dover International Speedway. Bringing you all the action tonight up in the GSRC booth, it'll be yours truly, Nick Schmeg, and I'm being joined alongside once again by Adam Lindgren. In the director's chair this evening is Sean Crackers Ambrose, and as always, he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Adam, we've seen tons of exciting short track racing this season so far, and that action is only going to ramp up tonight as everyone is going to be doing their best to avoid becoming the next victim of Miles the Monster. Why don't you tell us a little more about this place?
It would be my absolute pleasure, Nick. The Monster Mile. This high-banked, deceptively difficult oval is one of my favorite tracks to race, and definitely my favorite track to watch. This 1 mile or 1.6 kilometer Dover, Delaware track is 4 turns of 24-degree banked oval with a staggering 9 degrees of banking down the 2 short straights. Add to that a Bristol-like grooved concrete driving surface, and you have a recipe for high speeds and high Gs, but also a lot of chaos. Even with such high banking down the straights, the transitions from the corners can literally throw these trucks from the bottom line to the top line. And if you're carrying too much speed, especially out of corner number 4, you will find yourself a smear on the outside wall before you pinball down to come to rest on the inside groove of the track. Many drivers call this a self-cleaning racetrack due to the nature of said wrecks, and this is great for those not involved in a wreck, but unlike most of our tracks so far this season, if you spin here, you are not recovering. Saving a slide is nearly impossible, so most cautions will end with at least a few beat-up trucks. But when they get racing, it'll be close. It'll be fast, and there will be some door banging and bumper bending as we get to the later stages in this race as patience and tires give way to adrenaline and desperation. But enough yammering about Miles the Monster's old equestrian exhibit. Let's take a ride in our NASCAR Gander Series truck around Dover International Speedway in today's GSRC Lap Guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek taking you for a spin around Dover International Speedway in the GSRC Silverado. Dover is a whole lot of fun. It's definitely not your traditional 1 mile oval, so without further ado, here we go. Down the front stretch, going off into turn 1, you're going to use the brakes just a little bit, braking right about at that Dover sign on the wall. Let the truck set, back into the gas, then back off, because if you go into it too fast, you're going to push right up to that wall that's waiting for you on exit. Same into turn 3, brake at that insurance sign on the wall, let it float down, half throttle, 3/4 throttle, back to half, back to full, and out of the corner. Feels like you're getting rocket launched out of that corner. As the run progresses, you might see guys kind of do this sort of a line where they kind of diamond the corner off. Go in low, let it float up to the middle, and back off, because it really lets you get a good head of steam heading off the corners, and it keeps the truck a little bit more stable. Same in 3 and 4. Let it float up a little bit, find the bottom again, 3/4 gas, back into the throttle, coming out of that hole, out of turn 4, down the front stretch. And that completes your track guide around the Dover International Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
And there you saw a couple laps around Dover International Speedway. It really does put in to effect the word precision in the Precision Racing League. And once again, we want to give a big shout out to, because that lap guide was brought to you by Established Traffic Control, sponsoring tonight's broadcast once again. Founded in 2005, Established Traffic Control is a leader in traffic control and traffic safety in the state of Pennsylvania through maintaining great relationships and providing exceptional customer service. In addition to being able to provide all you need for traffic safety, ETC makes custom signs, from street signs to company logos and everything in between. These custom signs make great gifts and wall decor as well. You have a design, ETC can make it, and shipping is available. For more information, visit establishedtraffic.com or email Brendan Chatley at bchatley@establishedtraffic.com. You see a couple of the trucks make their qualifying laps right now, and And we have had a pretty awesome following of fans following this series so far this year. But just in case we're picking up anyone new, let's go over some of the race details we'll be seeing tonight.
Absolutely. Tonight is round 7 of 10. We are closing down towards the end of the series here for the Precision Racing League trucks. And we have 2 trucks on offer tonight, the Silverado and the Tundra, that these truckers are going to be driving around. Setups are fixed, which means restricted fuel. They're going to be racing for 115 laps, and you only get 17 incidents, so you got to be very careful. Speaking of restricted fuel, 85% is what they get, so they're definitely going to have to make a pit stop for sure, and there are no fast repairs, which means you got to be, not only do you have to be careful due to incident count, but you also have to be careful because you ain't getting no repairs here done. It's going to have to all be done manually. No spare cars on offer here tonight.
Absolutely.
All right, Nick. Yeah, what's up with the points tonight, Nick?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You mentioned the fact that we're closing in on the end of the season. It's hard to believe that after tonight, we're only going to have 3 races left in this season. And here you can see the team standings here. Texas Racing currently leading that right now with Savage Drive in second. Forever Cupless Racing behind them. Car, Ramrod, and Back Road Racing. Not too much change at all from what we saw before. A couple of those intervals mixed up, but possibly more importantly for a lot of these drivers, we've got a drivers' championship as well.
Yeah, definitely. Leading that drivers' championship is Bradley Hawley in the lead. He's extended his lead by a couple points, but it's still actually pretty close between first and second, surprisingly. And coming in only 14 points behind that is Rob Haynes, who's now tied with Austin Hunter, who jumps 2 spots after the race last night. And then we have in 5th place, Charles Sumner, who also jumped 2 spots. Believe it or not, this points race is surprisingly close going into these final couple of sessions here. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here in these next couple of races.
Yeah, you saw William Hartman there, 17 points back from Holly. Is this the night where he can maybe shift the momentum in the standings? He was fastest in practice before the race, but Bradley Holly was second. It's a bit of the opposite in qualifying, though. Bradley Holly currently has the top time and Hartman all the way down in 4th. But we do have a returning driver as well tonight, J.R. Smith, who won at Bristol earlier this year, another concrete track. So lots of big names up there, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Speaking of it all playing out, it looks like qualifying just about wrapped up. So let's go ahead and take a look at that starting grid. Up on the top in row number 1, it's going to be Bradley Holly with Rob Haynes alongside of him in second. Another one in the points battle. J.R. Smith and William Hartman going to be making up row 2. And Jake Hounshell, a newcomer tonight, setting a 22.999. He's going to be rounding out the top 5. He's going to be alongside Nicholas Delp, and they're going to be in front of Robert Basaw Jr. and John LaBaff. Brendan Chatley finds himself back in 9th, and Ray Richer going to be rolling off P10.
Absolutely. We see the return of Robert Malikian here in the 11th position alongside long-timer Colton Lane. Eric Roberts comes in behind him alongside Jason Hounshell, seemingly brother, I believe, of the driver up ahead. And then we have, after them, Austin Hunter in 15th and Charles Sumner 16th. Alec Lumpkin, Ronald McManus are the last 2 to make times, and then Dominic Bagine and Thomas Sink are rounding out our final 20 cars, and they're going to be in row 10.
And there you have it, 20 trucks gridded up on the pit lane here on the front straightaway at Dover International Speedway, getting ready to go. Bradley Holly looking strong already in this race because he's going to be rolling off that top spot in his 184 Tundra. Already going for his 4th win of the season tonight. William Hartman is his main competitor tonight, I think, in terms of points. He's rolling off P4, a couple spots behind him. He's going to have the outside, though. Is that going to be much of an advantage here on the start, you think, Adam?
Well, it really depends on which line gets off the bat fastest. Honestly, at Dover, it's really surprising. These drivers have a hard time keeping their tires from spinning on restarts. This track is super slick when you get going, so it'll be interesting to see whether anyone can pick it up off the line and whether Bradley Holly spins his tires. That's honestly the only advantage I think that top line has, a straighter line into the first straight.
We will go ahead and see here what all happens. The pace car gonna pull off for at least the first time tonight. 115 laps ahead of him in round 7 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. Bradley Holly on the inside. He is the control car at the start. Coming to the green flag with Rob Haynes to the outside. Who gets the jump? The green flag is in the air. A big push from the 33 of J.R. Smith down on the inside line. And it looks like you said, the inside line gets going the best. Look at Hartman sliding behind through the middle and already onto the bottom side.
It was a pretty clean start, all things considered. Their track is pretty decent right now. And as Bradley Holly and J.R. Smith both slide up into preferred lines, we have a battle going on for third position between Hartman and Haynes. Looks like Hartman's going to take it going back onto the front stretch.
For the lead, though, J.R. Smith coming out of turn 4 and into turn 1 already, looking on the bottom. It was a spectacular start for the 33 machine, who started back in third. Already coming out of turn 2, he's going to have the preferred line, I think, going down into 3 and 4.
At the same time, these truck drivers have been testing out that second line on the top end, and it's working out decently. If he can make J.R. Smith get unstable, and he does, Bradley Holly's able to hold on to the first position and take it going into 1 and 2.
You can see just how free they get over the jump, seemingly coming off of turn 4. How about William Hartman having to duck down all the way to the bottom? J.R. Smith was just going for the lead. Now he's defending for second. The 67 of Hartman on the bottom, coming out to turn 4. You can see them just go into a complete state of free fall onto the front stretch there.
William Hartman really he knows that this is his time to go. He knows that this is his time to get a win. It's now or never for Hartman to close the gap to those points, and he's got to make sure that Bradley Holly doesn't get away. If this miracle goes green, then he's gonna need to be sure to be up there right behind Holly going into those final laps of this race.
One driver that did not get the start he wanted was Rob Haynes. He rides in 4th right now, trying to chase down J.R. Smith for a podium position, but at the same time he's having to hold off Jake Hounshell from the Atlantic Club here on iRacing, so I wonder if this is a home track for him.
Absolutely. If we go back to P12, we have a battle going on. Robert Malikian is getting put to the high side here by Eric Roberts and Jason Hounshell, and they're starting to freight train Robert Malikian as he gets stuck on that high side. He's been having a lot of trouble with loose off, so he might be pushing the truck a little bit too hard as this freight train goes by. Charles Sumner goes by him as well.
Sumner to the inside. He's going to be able to clear him there, and it looks like Malikian going to slot in between him and Thomas Sink behind him. You mentioned that high side, big struggle for Malikian there at the beginning of the race here as they work lap 7. It looks like you said, the middle line really is that preferred line to be.
We're going to take ourselves back up to P4 and take a look at Rob Haynes trying to hold off Jake Hounshell. These new drivers are really putting it to these long timers, these guys likely somewhat of local drivers here for this race, and it's really awesome to see how well Jake and Jason are doing up there in those positions as Robert Wasaw Jr. looks on to Jake in 5th.
Riding on board with Haynes right now. They're in 4th, looking back at the competition. He's got a bit of a gap back to Hounshell in 5th. Right now he's looking forward. Ooh, problems for Ronald McManus, it looks like. He's in the pit.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and take a look at what's going on. We're going to take a replay here and see what happens with what happened with Ronald McManus. It's interesting to be in the pits this early in the race. He's going to lose a lot of time. Here we go, taking a look at it.
Yeah, especially staying green. Looks like some connection problems for McManus. He may have gotten into the wall as well because of that, but either way, finds himself in trouble early. As we take a look back live at the leaders, William Hartman has gotten around J.R. Smith for second. We saw that pass a handful of laps ago. What we didn't see, though, is him pull away and start to chase down Bradley Holly. That's what we're seeing now.
Yeah, and we're going to take a look on board with Hartman. We're going to see how he takes his corner. As you can see, Bradley Holly is making sure to get into that corner at a good angle. He's cranking the car a little bit more on the exit of the straights, whereas Hartman is just kind of sliding down into it straight off the straight. So a little bit more input from Holly entering the corner, and it looks like that's starting to hurt his front tires. He's getting a little tight exiting the corners as they go up back on into turn 1 and 2.
Hartman looked really strong last week at Talladega. Had to come home and settle with a 6th place finish, which he did not appreciate for the in terms of the points standing. He'll have to rebound here. Speaking of 6th place, though, that right now it looks to be Jake Hounshell holding off the likes of Brendan Chatley, who's on a tear forward. He started back in 9th.
Yeah, Jake Hounshell's been struggling a little bit. He was the one I was talking about in front of Robert Bassett Jr. earlier. Robert's now pulled ahead by about half a second, and now he's being hounded by Brendan Chatley. Jake's struggling a little bit on these tires here as we get further into this run.
And it's hard to predict how long this run will go. I mean, there's always the possibility of us having a completely green flag race, although we haven't seen that this year. And we have seen tons of long green flag runs. One guy that's not thinking about any kind of caution flag strategy right now is William Hartman, who's really starting to challenge Holly for the lead up here.
Yeah, I think Hartman's just got a better line right now. Here we go past a lap truck. The truck takes the apron as a courtesy. That's a very nice thing to do for these drivers here. And so here we go on board with Hartman. Hartman, you can see he's getting super tight exiting that corner. He got tight exiting and a little bit loose over that hump. So he's having to be a little bit careful. He's pushing up in the center of the corners. Maybe he's spent his stuff, and Hawley might be coming back to the fore now.
He got loose over that hump, like you said. A lot of drivers in the real world describe racing here at Dover like a roller coaster ride. It's a 3-story drop, it feels like, coming off of turns 2 and turn 4. And then you have to carry that momentum down into the corner. Looks like Dominic Begine may have found the wall here. We see him in the pits.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think Austin Hunter was another one.
And we're going to take a look at this replay here, and I think Dominic Begine may have gotten loose and hit the inside wall. Let's see here. Actually, he was actually driving on the apron before, so something happened early on in the race. We'll go take a look at that.
He had an issue with Austin Hunter, lap 11. This actually involved Alec Lumpkin as well, coming out of turn 4.
We're actually going to take you back to the lead here. We got William Hartman really challenging Bradley Hartley now. He's right on his bumper, and this might be time for a move. Hartman looking to set him up as he comes here out the exit of the corner. He's going to get a good run, and he's going to look to the inside.
Holly's going to have to give way at least a little bit. He's going to have to give him room. Hartman with the nose ahead through turns 3 and 4. They come onto the front stretch. Look at them both weave and wobble there, trying to compose themselves. Holly had the lead that time by 0.02 of a second.
Oh, and Hartman gets a little high and gets into Hawley, and then J.R. Smith takes the opportunity, goes by, but not before getting a little bit of damage and causing a little bit of damage to the right rear of Hartman. Hartman's now lost his opportunity. That's a lot of trust between these drivers at the front.
All 3 of these trucks up front really battling loose conditions. They may have spent their tires a little too much here in the first stint. Holly getting real loose off of turn 4 last time around. Now he's having to defend the likes of J.R. Smith behind him, who's been gifted a 2nd place position.
You know, it's not necessarily the driver's fault. We started this race in overcast, and it is now the sun's beating down as now another cloud comes over the track, but we've gone up 11 degrees in track temp since the beginning of this race. We are now at 90-degree track temp. This is not something that you want to see as a driver going into a long stint.
Yeah, absolutely. All 3 of these trucks look to be settled down a little bit. J.R. Smith has a lot of momentum, though. He is using that to carry himself forward and try to chase down that 184 truck. Let's check in further back. Oh, there's a traffic jam back here in 11th place. Nicholas Delp on the bottom there in that blue and black truck, holding off John LaBaff, Charles Sumner, and Jason Hounshell, who all run nose to tail now.
Yeah, this was caused by John LaBaff finding the outside wall a couple of laps ago, and he's just been backing up to these guys ever since. And wow, as the 86 gets all super loose, the 96 of Charles Sumner gets super loose exiting the corner, and he has to back off and let the likes of Thomas Sink and Delp go by.
Might need to let Robert Malikian go by now. Let's take a look at that replay. Right on board with Charles Sumner here.
That is an extremely stressful situation when your truck starts to dive down to the inside line. That is extremely, extremely stressful.
Absolutely. And the last thing you want is to put other trucks in harm's way as well. As we come back live here. Oh, we've got a battle for the lead, and actually problems because Bradley Holly and J.R. Smith are spinning on the front stretch. They're going to come to a rest right after the start-finish line after an intense battle for the lead. I'm not seeing a caution for it, though.
This is going to be a huge development if there's no caution here, and it doesn't look like there is so far.
Oh, boy. And there the caution comes out. Coming out of turn 4, the 33 was going for the lead, J.R. Smith was, and he just ran out of room. Smith, looks like the back end may have slid up a little bit, washed out.
Yeah, I think JR just got a little tight exiting forward. This is something that happens a lot in races here at Dover. He's trying to hold it, trying to get a good run off, and he just gets a little loose in the middle and then tight on exit, and that pushes him up into Holly, and that's going to end both of their races. A huge hit to the points for Holly. That puts Hartman right up to the front.
Absolutely. It puts him to the front of the grid, and it also puts him at least a lot closer to the front of the point standings. I'm sure those drivers were, really wanting a caution to be thrown there, and race control did throw one. But I don't know if that's going to matter too much for some people like J.R. Smith. He looks to have some severe damage after that. And yeah, he's finished off his day, it looks like, throwing in the towel. Bradley Holly, not terminal damage. He's going to be able to keep going, but he's driving a bit of an open wheeler there. We see them all now on pit road. This looks to be everyone coming down into the pits, except a couple lap trucks, I believe, staying out.
Yep, everyone's dived in here as Bradley Holly pulls into his stall. That is a heavily damaged truck, and the engine just blew on it as he pulls into the stall. That's at least half an hour of repair, and that is pretty much the end of his race.
Unfortunately, it looks to be, like you said, at least a half hour of repair. And if he's wondering what to do with that half hour of time, I'm sure he's wondering if he needs to buy a Mother's Day present still. We've got a solution for him, because Mother's Day will soon be upon us. If you want to find a unique gift for Mom and do some good at the same time, we have a great option for you. BLOC Industries employs men and women who need a second chance in life. BLOC trains individuals in job and life skills. These individuals use the skills they are taught to create unique handmade gifts that Mom is going to love. BLOC is working to change a community one life and one job at a time. Check out their Etsy page at etsy.com/shop/BLOC Industries and enter your coupon code iRacing at checkout and save 5% on a great gift for Mom or for yourself. Once again, that is etsy.com/shop/BLOC Industries. And remember, that's BLOC, BLOC, no K. And coupon code iRacing to save 5% on your order. You can also see the link on our YouTube page for more information. That might have been a little bit of a stretch for a segue, but I hope Bradley Holly is down there enjoying his shopping time now.
And as we take a look at the people who made it off pit road without the half hour of repair, Rob Haynes actually pulls out ahead of William Hartman. This is going to be a bit of consternation for Hartman, considering that he was enjoying his newfound lead. Jake Hounshell actually comes out in third position after his struggles in that first stint. He's back up into a podium position. And Thomas Sink, who started at the back of the pack, is now up 16 positions to fourth position for the start of this next green flag run.
Definitely one of the hard chargers to keep a lookout for there. And you mentioned Hartman maybe not enjoying starting on the outside here. I got to remind you, though, I mean, he had a fantastic start at the beginning of this race back in fourth. He did dive it down into the middle groove quickly and got down on the bottom. That is going to be a bit of a different dynamic starting on the front row now, but needless to say, I think Hartman's going to be aggressive here from the start with Haynes to his inside.
Well, I don't expect anything less from Hartman, considering he now has the opportunity to win this race. He doesn't have the challenge of Bradley Holly up there at the front. he is now in prime position to gain as many points as possible. And I look forward to seeing Hartman really fight for it here as we get going, as the pace lights go off on the Mustang pace car.
Absolutely. Only other winners this year, Brandon Walter, J.R. Smith, and John LaBaff. And I believe J.R. Smith is out of it. Brandon Walter not here tonight. John LaBaff sitting back in 14th, so definitely an opportunity to see a new winner. They're going to be coming up to lap number 31 here of 115 scheduled. Rob Haynes, the new control truck on the bottom of the ETC number 29. He takes the green flag, gets a great jump. The only problem with that is it's going to allow Hartman to dive down to the inside if he wants it. He does do that down into turn numbers 1 and 2. Jake Hounshell and Thomas Sink side by side for third.
An impressive start again. Nobody spinning their tires. It's a great work from everybody as everybody's gone single file here with the exception of Bassett Jr. and Thomas and Chatley, actually, as they continue to go too wide down here as they cross the stripe.
William Hartman trying to do everything he can to put the pressure on Rob Haynes while still defending Jake Hounshell, who's looking really strong in third right now.
And if we actually go back to the 10th position, Jason Hounshell just had a huge moment there. If we can get a replay of this, a massive moment as they came out of turns 1 and 2. There was a huge stack up there as we go to the replay here. Take a look at this.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That involved Nicholas Delp, who got punted down to the apron and kept it together nicely. That did stack him up 3 wide on the backstretch. That's a sketchy scenario to be in the middle of here at Dover.
On board with Delp as he had to check up to the truck checking up in front of him, and he gets punted, boom, down to the bottom, and then it creates a 3 wide scenario. That is not what you want to see here at Dover.
Definitely not. You take a look back at them live. They've sorted it out a little bit. A little more single file. Delp now being passed, it looks like, by Eric Roberts. That's back for 12th place now. John LaBaff just behind them. We got to switch you back to the lead, though, because William Hartman still putting the pressure more and more on Rob Haynes, the Canadian. Back down through turns 3 and 4. Ooh, a little bit of a wash up there for Hartman. That's going to allow Hounshell to get a big boost here.
It looks like Hartman's truck gets a little bit tight based upon how he's using it and how much turn he's putting into these corners. But he is sticking right on board as we take towards on the back of Rob Haynes' truck. Hartman sticking right with him. Rob Haynes going as fast as he possibly can. These truck drivers are not taking it easy right now. They are wringing these trucks out for everything they have. This is the maximum amount of grip that they have, and Hartman's got a good run. He's looking to the inside, going into 1 and 2.
Haynes is going to give him plenty of room down there on 1 and 2. It looks like Hartman is going to have the position. He's going to be able to clear him. Rob Haynes, is he going to try a crossover move? He got that boost. He has the speed, but he's going to back off a bit and let Jake Hounshell come up to his rear bumper.
I'm super impressed with Jake Hounshell as we go on board with Rob Haynes. Jake Hounshell, a new driver in this series, and he is proving that he is totally worth it. He's up here in 3rd position fighting for it as Rob Haynes ahead of him is taking a look back at William Hartman now. He's got a good run going into 3 and 4. We'll see whether he can convert it into anything as they go onto the front stretch.
They all get cleanly past the lap truck of Austin Hunter. Take a look back further in 5th place. Robert Bassett Jr. and Brendan Chatley. Looks like Bassett just got by Chatley for this position. Bassett's been on a bit of a move forward tonight. Started back in 7th.
Yeah, Bassett and Chatley have been duking it out since the start of this run here, and Bassett Jr. finally coming out on top. They've been swapping positions ever since the green flag dropped, and it looks like Bassett Jr. has finally got the better of Chatley and is now pulling ahead. We'll see whether he can make it back up to the likes of Thomas Sink and Jake Hounshell, who are now in a battle for 3rd position. We're going to go back to Jason Hounshell here, who's under pressure now from Charles Sumner, who's got a good run going onto the front stretch. He decides to better of it and stays hung back, but Jason's been having a decent race himself. He's up 5 positions from his starting position as they continue to go around this Dover circuit.
And quite a bit of damage on the front of that 00 truck as well, I'm noticing. That might be giving a little bit of an advantage to Charles Sumner. Aerodynamics not too big of an issue here at Dover compared to other tracks. 11th place, a good little scrap as well. Eric Roberts, who got past John LaBaff a handful of laps ago. We saw that happen. LaBaff has not letting him get away, though, yet.
Yeah, these truck drivers have decided to let their tires cool down a little bit, and I think LaBaff is going to... We saw how aggressive he was last week at Talladega. He's going to go for looks like he's going to try and get a good run here and see whether he can make a pass into 1 or 2. He decides better of it. But a lot of these trucks have sorted out here to 2-man packs now, just duking it out as we go on board now with Jason Jake Houndshell, as he's pulled up to Thomas Sink and is trying to make a pass now.
Yeah, Sink has gotten around him, and I've been watching Thomas Sink. He's been taking a much different line than everyone else, kind of that higher side, occasionally the middle. We see him now on the bottom, trying to defend this position, but I'm wondering if Thomas Sink at all is saving those tires after seeing just how much tire degradation there was on that first green flag stint.
Looks like he's finding some more grip in that, that kind of middle line between lanes 1 and 2. He's found a lot of grip, just about half a car length up from the bottom, and he's allowing that to give him a good slingshot off the corner. If you see here, as he goes into the corner now, he'll stay high, and then he'll allow the truck to drift down a little bit on the exit of the corner, and that allows him to get a good run onto the straights, and that allows him to make up time on those leaders ahead of him.
Yeah, he's right straddling that seam, that first bottom seam that between those concrete rows here. Take a look back at 7th place, Robert Malikian just getting by Ray Richer. Richer's had a quiet night so far. Haven't seen much of him, but he's had a good one. Started back in 10th, and he was up to 7th, and they make that 8th now with this.
Yeah, it looks like Malikian is using up his stuff quite a bit. He's drifting up in the corners a little bit due to overspeed into the corner, but that's allowing him to make good passes here. And as the clouds come over this track here, we take a look on board with Robert Malikian. That's allowing these truckers to really dive it into the corner a lot more, and it allows them to get good runs. And he's really diamonding the corner now. It's working out for him surprisingly well.
Absolutely. See him really be able to pull away there from Ray Richer really quickly as well. The next truck he'll be chasing is still about 3 seconds ahead of him. That's Brendan Chatley in 6th place, who kind of is in no man's land now. He's about a second behind Basaw Jr., 3 seconds ahead of Malikian.
As we take a look at Brendan Chatley, we don't have to go to it, but I can report that Thomas Sink has become a friend with the wall a couple times going through these corners, and this is something that the drivers have to be very careful about. As this run goes on, these trucks are going to get very tight, and then they'll transition to very loose, and when that transition happens, you got to be ready to catch it, because otherwise you'll find your rear end in the wall, or you'll find your nose end in the fence.
Absolutely. Don't want to become the next meal for Miles the Monster sitting outside in the parking lot. Take a look at 4th place here. Jake Houndshell trying to hold off Robert Basaw Jr. Basaw Jr. has been working this for quite a while now, just hasn't quite been able to find enough speed to get up alongside of that 0-2 machine.
They're taking very different lines, actually, believe it or not. Oh, wow, as Basaw Jr. finds the wall a little bit, that's going to hamper his progress. Jake Houndshell is taking a full up into the 2nd lane at this point, and he's diamonding in the corner, which means entering the corner a little early and then letting the car drift up in the middle and then coming down and exiting right on the line, whereas Robert Basaw Jr. is allowing the truck to stay closer to that bottom line all the way through the corner. And so these two lines, we're going to see which one prevails.
Basaw Jr. having a much better week than he did last week. He finished 18th at Talladega out of 18 trucks. Got involved in an early accident there.
And on board with Bassett Jr., we can see just the difference of those lines and how they produce different results down the straights. Jake Houndshell's got a good run off of the corner, whereas Robert Bassett Jr., as you can see, he starts to creep up right on the back of Jake Houndshell as they go through the corner. And so on different corners, it's going to produce different results. And through 3 and 4, Houndshell's got the preferred position, and through 1 and 2, Bassett Jr.'s got it.
Had a change of position back in 12th place. Nicholas Delp has found his way around John LeBaff. These two have been battling for quite a while. Let's take a look at this pass that Delp just put on the 911 machine of John LeBaff. Looks like coming out of turn 4, got that big run of momentum down the hill and sent it into turn 1.
And LeBaff gives him room, and it looks like he was going to try an over-under, but it didn't really pan out. He didn't have quite enough of a run. So as we go back live with Nicholas Delp, we see he's moving up the field pretty well. Even though he's down from his starting position, this run's going a lot better for him than the past one would.
Yeah, up front, really no pressure right now from Rob Haynes. William Hartman, it's pretty clean sailing for him. He's very minimally stretching that gap over Rob Haynes. And then a big gap back, 1.5 seconds, a little bit more than that actually, to Thomas Sink, who we saw taking a little bit of a different line, maybe conserving tires.
We're going to take a look back now at P9, which is Jason Houndshell. Right behind him, Charles Sumner just had a big run on him going into 3 and 4, but got a little tight and decided to back out of it and not take out the driver ahead of him. And now Charles Sumner's paying for that kindness by getting passed by Eric Roberts on the inside. These drivers back here have been duking it out for quite a while, and it's entertaining to watch for sure. We'll see whether Sumner comes back at him, but he decides better of it again. And discretion's the better part of valor here. On board with Sumner.
Riding along with the 98 machine. You can see Eric Roberts, that big boost of momentum, really shift back to him. Chasing down Jason Houndshell. He's going to get down onto the bottom groove and get past him easily. Houndshell got really tight out of that turn because here comes Sumner as well. Loose into turn 1 as well. Now riding up against the Larson line.
Larson line really doesn't work around here at Dover. There's not much grip up there right now, and so Jason's going to go back a couple of positions.
Have a pass for 4th place as well. Jake Houndshell working Robert Bassett Jr. still. A little bit of contact, almost coming out of turn 2. Not quite. That was close though, and give the advantage to Robert Bassett Jr. Houndshell steps out of that one.
It's interesting to see what ways are good ways to pass. If you make the pass on the bottom, then you stick it in the middle of the track at a little high on exit through the next corner, and it forces those guys to try and go inside you, which makes them super tight. And if they don't take you out like we saw happen with Bradley Holly earlier on, that's going to give you the advantage going onto the straight because they have to back out of it coming out of the corner.
I can report as well that we are down to 17 trucks after 20 starting this race. We've had our 3rd DNF. Austin Hunter has taken it behind the wall for the day. He had a rough start, got into the wall a couple times. But it leaves 17 trucks out on track, and 15 of which on the lead lap.
Hartman showing a commanding lead here, and Rob Haynes just biding his time, I think. They both know that this is probably not the last caution and probably not the last opportunity they're going to have to get new tires. So the two of them just biding their time, knowing that they're in a good position, especially for the points, but also for the race win. I don't think we've seen the last of Rob Haynes.
Yeah, he's definitely coming back. That gap had opened up to almost 1 second, and now it's down underneath half a second. Right on board with Rob Haynes here. See if he's taken any kind of different line. He's kind of diamonding the corner out a little more, it looks like. He's coming. He's getting a big run.
Yeah, William Hartman, I think, is feeling the effects of this long run. As you can see, he has to drift up a little bit into the corners. He doesn't quite have the grip through the middle that Rob Haynes does. I think Rob Haynes has saved his stuff and is now taking it and is now starting to think about attacking William Hartman.
That looks to be the case. Rob Haynes, I mean, we've been talking so heavily about William Hartman's points situation, only 17 points back from Holly, but Rob Haynes is the driver sitting in third place, actually tied with Austin Hunter, but only sitting 30 points back from Bradley Holly coming into this race. So this is going to be a great points day for him as well. Hopefully him and Hartman don't get into any kind of a trouble here, battling with each other though.
Yeah, Haynes has closed the gap from 0.6 of a second down to 0.2 of a second now, just in the last 2 laps. So Haynes definitely has some pace on Hartman, and we'll see what Hartman can do once he gets there.
Will Hartman give him the bottom line, or is he going to go a little more defensive, make Haynes take that middle to upper line here? Is Hartman going to have a choice in that matter?
As we go back now to P12 and P13, Jason Hounshell getting around John LaBeouf. I think John LaBeouf on the outside wall again recently, and he's headed towards it again as he holds on just barely, bottling up the likes of the 78 of Ronald McManus, who's 3 laps down. John LaBeouf is off pace, and McManus wants to get by, but he's gonna let John LaBeouf take that line, and John LaBeouf trying to get back up to Jason Hounshell and challenge again for the 12th position.
Definitely a close call there for John LaBeouf. Winner at the season opener back at Martinsville. Much different short track than what we're dealing with today. Robert Basaw Jr. In 4th place under a lot of pressure from another Hounshell. That's Jake. This is for 4th place, and Hounshell's going to send it down to the bottom here, and it looks like he's going to easily make that pass for 4th.
That was an impressive, commanding move there, but looks like Basaw's got a good run. He's going to think better of it, though. You're going to see those runs come a little bit more aggressive as we get further into this race. Once we get to around 100 laps completed here, those guys are not going to let those runs go. They're going to try and dive it back down into the corner, but Jake Hounshell trying to make his name stick here, trying to really make an impression as Robert Basaw Jr. is trying to challenge him back. And we have the first pit stop here under green flag. Brendan Chatley is into the pits now. He just slams on the brakes and gets down to speed. Surprisingly enough, this is an interesting development. Green flag pit stop as he goes in for tires and probably fuel.
Yeah, I'm guessing this was a fuel move. You see just alongside of him, though, past the pit road wall, the battle for the lead, Rob Haynes, who has really reeled in the likes of William Hartman for this top spot. Hartman defending strongly, though, not overly aggressively. And Haynes just cannot get up alongside of him. He can get to the back of him, just can't get alongside of him, it looks like.
While these two are duking it out, and the strategy plays start coming even more. Colton Lane has also come into the pits as Chatley gets a good, safe, fast stop done, a 14.1. As Colton Lane gets a 15.0. We'll see where they come back out on track, but I can tell you it's going to be a couple laps down, and if this goes yellow, they're going to be in trouble.
Unfortunately, someone has to be the first person to pit, and it looks as if that fuel limit of 85% is coming into play here.
We have a lot of takers now. Thomas Sink is on pit road. Eric Roberts is on pit road. Ray Richer, Robert Basaw Jr., Robert Malicki, and John LaBeouf. It is time to pit. We'll see how long these leaders decide to stay out there. They're going to start losing time now if everyone gets into the pits and gets out. If these guys stay out too long, they're going to find themselves not in the lead anymore, because we'll have the likes of Robert Basaw Jr. and the Houndshells. Whenever they decide to pit, as Jake Hounshell goes in, these leaders are starting to lose time now.
Yeah, we might see a bit of an undercut technique here. Hartman and Haynes stay out once again for at least one more 1 mile circuit around here.
currently only have 3 cars on the lead lap now because of the pit stops. Jason Hounshell stayed out, as well as Rob Haynes and Hartman. They're hoping, but now the leaders are coming into the pit lane, and it looks like Hartman, all runs into the barriers on the outside, but he's able to mow it down and get into pit lane.
That was a close call for Hartman. Hopefully he got slowed down in time. It looks like he did. Just make sure used up tires. It's so easy to slide into the boxes here. Let's take a look at that again. That replay of that with Hartman. That was a close call. Trying to get in by the commitment zone.
It gets on the seam and you really have a hard time braking there, and it looks a lot calmer on board than it probably was for him as he was trying to just hold it down. And we're going to take a look back live now as they're in the pits. We'll see who has the best pit stop and who can get out in front.
It's a 4-tire stop for both of them as they get fuel. Good stop for Haynes. They both get out. Hartman in front of him. Let's see where they cycle around the track, though.
Oh, 3 wide there on the exit of pit road. That's a really close fight as Jason Hounshell looks like he's going to take the lead back, I believe. No, he has not pit yet. Jason Hounshell and Alec Lumpkin have not pit. Thomas Sink is going to inherit the lead.
Thomas Sink. Looked like he was saving tires earlier. That definitely played out into his hands, it looks like, on this green flag run. But not too far in front of William Hartman and Rob Haynes. I think if we see the pace we saw out of Hartman, especially on these couple laps fresher tires than Sink,
and
we're going to see them closing in on him.
Jason Hounshell has missed pit lane. He has missed pit lane on his attempted pit stop, and he is going to have to go around another time. We're going to go take a replay and see how this happened.
Just misjudged getting down there, it looks like. He didn't have any pressure whatsoever from behind him, just missed it. Didn't want to stuff it into the tire or into the yellow barriers there. He'll ride down around the apron for one whole lap, and finally make his way down into the pits.
He's made it to the pit lane now, and he's going to take his 4 tires. And if we could get back up to P2, William Hartman really putting the pressure now on Thomas Sink. Thomas Sink up 18 positions from his starting position. And he's, oh my goodness, as he makes a defensive move. We go on board with Thomas Sink. Take a look at this battle.
Yeah, P2 very quickly became P1 when Hounshell came into the pits. This is your battle for the lead now. Hartman working the likes of Thomas Sink in front of him. He loses a bit of momentum there, a bit of a checkup from the 48 truck. Rob Haynes able to close in on the 67. That's exactly what Sink wants to see out his mirror, is Hartman and Haynes start battling, but right now they are single file trying to chase down that 48 truck.
This is our first pit strategy battle of the season that we've been able to see in round 7 here for the Precision Racing League trucks, and it is turning out to be a cracker. Rob Haynes had a good run on William Hartman, but decided better of it as Hartman just dove it into the corner. Wow, they're all super loose as they get off going down into 1 and 2.
They are racing as hard as possible, getting on the gas very quickly. When they hit the finish line, they'll have 30 laps to go in this race. Thomas Sink causes a bit of a checkup again. Hartman's line there, his acceleration a little bit off. You see Rob Haynes get a big run off of 4. Here goes Hartman down to the bottom for the lead.
Sink has been being very defensive, but he missed that move from Hartman, and he decides to stick it up high and try and trap Hartman down low. It's going to work through 1 and 2. We'll see whether it works through 3 and 4 as Rob Haynes dives low as well, getting underneath Thomas Sink, and we'll see whether he can hold it off the corner.
Sink's going to have a big run coming off of turn 4. He got a nose ahead at the stripe, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold it. Rob Haynes looking awfully strong on the bottom. That 29 machine's going to be able to clear the 48, the driver out of Illinois, for second. They go all the way down to the middle and the bottom of the track on the backstretch, but it's William Hartman up front sailing away from these two.
An awesome defense there from Rob Haynes as he came off the corner and just stuck it in the middle of the track. Good work from him to get ahead of Thomas Sink. Wow, as they go past the lap truck there of the 89 Alec Lumpkin. That's going to put a lot of stress on them as they go through the corners. And it looks like things have finally sorted out now at the front.
For the time being, it looks like they have. Although on that last green flag stint, we saw Rob Haynes close in on Hartman slowly. Now that he's got Thomas Sink out of the way, you think Rob Haynes can close in on him? It looks like he's reeling him in already as we speak.
We're going to go back to P9 now and take a look at Nicholas Delp, who's made it out into the 9th position. He's been battling it out with these folks around him, Charles Sumner and Colton Lane, for the whole race, as Ray Richer is in behind him as well. These guys are having a good race down here in the mid-pack, trying to close it out for those last top 10 positions.
Every position makes the difference. Every point matters. Not just a championship fight these guys are fighting for. A lot of these mid-pack drivers fighting for spots amongst there in the standings. A couple of drivers that are, however, fighting for that top spot are these two, William Hartman and Rob Haynes. They've got Bradley Holly and Austin Hunter out of the race, two of their main competitors. J.R. Smith as well, a DNF. They've got this track all to themselves, at least the top spot they do.
Remember, this is battle for P2 and P3 in the championship points, and this is, oh wow, Hartman gets extremely loose coming off the corner, and that's going to allow the likes of Rob Haynes to dive down on the inside of 1 and 2, and he's going to complete the pass. We'll see whether Hartman decides to come back and improve back straight.
He's going to have to try a bit of a crossover move. He's not going to have it there. He just has to keep Haynes from slipping away. Oh, misjudges that into 3, sends it in real hot. That's going to be a perfect situation for Haynes, but look at how quickly Hartman's able to compose himself, already back down side by side with him through turns 1 and 2.
Oh my goodness, what a move from Hartman. What a decisive move there. He makes the pass in front of Rob Haynes. That was really impressive to blow up the corner and to get a good line off and to come through 1 and 2 with high speed. What an impressive, decisive move here.
They have the lab truck of John LaBaff just ahead of him. But for the time being, William Hartman takes back control of the lead here at Dover. Again, both of these drivers looking for their first win of the season here in round 7.
And as we know, LaBaff is not a slow driver, so these guys are going to have to work a little bit to get by him, even though he's a lap truck. And here we go as LaBaff takes the high side and lets them both by. That's a good move from LaBaff, letting the leaders go.
Absolutely. Didn't really hurt Hartman or Haynes more than one another, so they should be good from that. They've got quite a ways away until their next lap truck, so these last 20 laps when they hit the stripe, it's going to be good.
We'll take a look back now at P9 here as we're looking at Nicholas Delp and Colton Lane. Colton Lane had a good run on Delp, but then had to deal with a lap car, got extremely loose out of the corner, and now he's fallen back a couple of tenths. But these two have been battling it out for the last couple of laps, and I don't believe it's going to end in this order necessarily if they get back together.
Ooh, the battle for back up at 5th. Robert Basaw Jr. and Jake Hounshell still can't get away from each other. Hounshell just now taking that spot. But look at the big run Basaw's got coming off of 4. Oh, Hounshell got really loose there.
Yeah, that was not a defensive line from Hounshell. That was extreme loose off-corner exit. And he's able to hold on to it and hold that position. Basaw Jr. deciding not to go up high. Ideal passing lane is down at low. So he's going to wait a couple more laps and see whether he can make the move.
Oh, Basaw into the wall. Looks like coming off of turn 4 there a little bit. Maybe overdriving the truck just a little bit. That didn't slow him up too badly, though. Not going to let Hounshell get away from him just yet.
It did look like it's affected his toe a little bit. He's grabbing a tiny bit now off the corners. We'll see whether that affects him too much as he goes through these turns. We're gonna take a look at the replay here and take a look at what this is. Something that happens fairly normally at Dover, but this looks like it might have been a little bit more of a clang than we usually see.
Yeah, it was a decent smack he had there. Bit of contact will ride with him here through it.
Yeah, and that hit, usually you end up pancaking the wall flat, but that hit on the right rear is gonna be what's affected his straight line speed. And as you can see, he's crabbing a little bit now down the straights.
Back up front, 15 laps to go to decide this race. Round 7 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. It is William Hartman still defending Rob Haynes in the 29 behind him. And Haynes, honestly, I mean, he's not letting him get away at all, but once again, just like we saw on that last green flag run, Haynes not able to get up alongside of him decisively.
But at the same time, I think they both knew that they were waiting for the next pit stop. We'll see what Haynes does now that he knows that this is his opportunity. I think now is the time to go, but you also realize Hartman had that great return move, that great pass back the last time Haynes made it by. So Haynes knows now what Hartman's going to do, and he's going to have to defend it if he decides to make a move on him. And it looks like he might here.
He's gonna send it looks like, in the next couple of laps. He's looking awfully strong there, especially through 3 and 4 last time around. They dive it back down into turns 1 and 2 here at Dover. Let's see what kind of run Rob gets this time onto the backstretch. Oh, it's a big one. He's gonna send it down to the bottom, takes a peek, stays in line for now.
He's really forcing Hartman to get in there hot and to really defend that bottom line, and that's making Hartman go a little high as Hartman gets loose. But Haynes is not going to have an opportunity to take it this time. These guys are really, really rigging their trucks out tonight.
Hartman's got to be careful. He's just got to keep it clean and composed. But at the same time, he's got to do what it takes to keep that 29 truck behind him.
And right ahead of them, they've got trucks that are on the lead lap right now. These guys do not have to move over for them. So these lead trucks is going to really change up the battle as they close into the final 11 laps here. Oh my goodness, as Hartman gets extremely loose off the corner and Haynes goes to the bottom again. It's a repeat of what we saw earlier.
This is the best opportunity Haynes has had in a long time. They come off of turn 4 side by side. 10 laps to go here at Dover to decide it. Down into turns 1 and 2, a big advantage for Hartman, but look at the momentum shift back to the bottom lane with Rob Haynes.
They're just inches apart now as they exit to 1 and 2. What an impressive move. As William Hartman just holds it on the outside, using up a ton of his tires, but look how loose he is getting off the corner. He goes and hits the wall that gives Haynes an opportunity again.
William Hartman just kind of shrugs the wall off his shoulder, tries to ignore the fact that he kissed it a little bit. Rob Haynes does have a bit of an opportunity, but like you said, they might be catching these lap trucks ahead of him. We'll have to keep an eye on that as well. Oh, Haynes diving it down, sticking it way down to the bottom, keeping it glued down there to the apron.
These two have been duking it out for so long. We forgot to take a look back at the likes of Brendan Hatley and Jake Hounshell, as Jake Hounshell's just made his way by Brendan Hatley with a decisive move through 3 and 4. These two guys have been duking it out for quite a while, throughout this whole race, actually. And now it looks like we're going to have a good duke out as we go back to the lead.
Coming off of turn 4, once again. Haynes down to the bottom. That was a little too aggressive there, I think. Hartman shut the door on him quickly. Out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. Not quite the advantage that Haynes would like there. He's going to have to really set this up. He's been working at it for quite some time.
Haynes is running out of time. 6 to go as they cross the line right now. He looks like he's backing up, and he's going to give it one more shot here, I think, as we get to the close of this race.
It'll be 5 laps to go when they hit the finish line here in half a lap, half a mile. William Hartman driving the race of his life so far, but Rob Haynes trying to steal one from him here late.
Looks like Rob Haynes is having a little bit more trouble. The sun's coming out. If he can just get that brake by to the back a little bit more and get some trail braking down as they go into the corners here, as we're on board with Haynes, he might have the opportunity here because Hartman's having a hard time getting those rear tires to hook up, whereas Haynes is not having that issue. Haynes actually really has the advantage here if he can get close enough.
Haynes, the Canadian, William Hartman, the driver out of Michigan.
Here you can see the sun going behind some clouds. This is where we've seen Haynes be strongest, and he rolls up to the back of Hartman now. Here we go by with a couple more laps to go.
3 laps to go here at Dover for William Hartman. Just 3 miles for him to try to hold off the likes of Rob Haynes, a hard-charging Rob Haynes who's put pressure on him this entire race. What can he do, and what can Haynes do to answer?
Haynes clipped the asphalt there, exiting 1 and 2, getting extremely eager to try to get on the back of Hartman, and that's going to send him back a couple tenths. But now he's got momentum, and he's closing to the back again.
He's running out of time. It's less than 2 miles left here at the Monster Mile for Rob Haynes to try to throw a late race desperation move on William Hartman. 1.5 laps to go. A little bit of lap traffic ahead of him. That shouldn't be a factor. Coming up to the white flag, though. William Hartman just has 1 mile to go to try to hold on. Look how loose he gets coming out of turn 4. They dive it down into 1 and 2 for the last time tonight. A little bit of a wash up there from Hartman. Haynes tries to keep that momentum in his favor on the backstretch. The roller coaster ride they take down into turns 3 and 4. Haynes clips the apron one more time. He has a big run of momentum, but it's not gonna be enough. Hartman keeps it clean out of 4. He gets his first win of the season here at Dover.
What an impressive run as we take a look at Thomas Sink up 17 positions from his starting position. Coming home in 3rd position, Jake Hounshell's going to be 4th, and Brendan Chatley, I believe, is going to come home in 5th position.
Eric Roberts smacking the wall coming out of turn 4. He comes home with a 6th place finish. Man, heck of a race there, it looked like.
An unbelievable race. Such a talented race from all these drivers at the Precision Racing League Truck.
And hopefully we get to speak to a couple of those talented drivers. Stick around with us. We're going to go to break here quickly. But when we come back, we are going to have results, the rundown, and some interviews to go ahead. So stick around for us. You don't want to miss them. Welcome back to the land once known as Dover Downs, Dover International Speedway, where we just saw one heck of a thrilling race here. Once again, the PRL boys never disappoint us. William Hartman gets his first win of the season with Rob Haynes just coming 0.146 seconds behind him. Heck of a finish, heck of a battle too. Thomas Sink gonna come home 5 seconds behind them all in 3rd with Jake Hounshell, the newcomer. What a debut race this was for him, getting around Brendan Chatley there with just a couple laps left for 4th place. Chatley, of course, that means comes home in 5th. Eric Roberts behind them, despite pulling a J.R. Hildebrand out of turn 4 on the last lap, he is going to wind up in 6th. Robert Basal Jr. 7th, coming home in front of Colton Lane, Nicholas Delp, and Ray Richer finishes 10th, last of the lead lap trucks tonight.
First truck all lap back is Charles Sumner. Not the greatest race for him, nor John Labath, the man who finishes in 12th position. Robert Millikian comes home 13th in his return to the series. Jason Hounshell, the other newcomer, not quite as good of a race, back 2 laps down. First truck 2 laps down in 14th position. We got Alec Lumpkin coming home in 15th and Ronald McManus in 16th. He's our last driving finisher. Then we have Dominic Magine in 17th, Austin Hunter 18th, Bradley Holly, a rough night for him on a rough night in the points, in 19th, and then 20th with J.R. Smith. Well, Nick, after such an amazing, amazing race, I think it's time to interview some drivers. What do you think?
Absolutely. And you're talking about that points battle, but we'll get to that in a second. We've got William Hartman, first-time winner here this season, at least. William, that was a heck of a race and a heck of a finish you had to put up with there.
Yeah, that was an awesome race. Probably one of the best ones I've had in a long time. Great battle there with Rob towards the end. We kept it clean for a really, really long time during that last stint of the race. Got some green flag pit stops in. Really nothing to complain about with that quality of racing right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And a great points day for you as well. You saw Bradley and Austin Hunter as well get taken out there very early. Was points on your mind today, or were you just going for the win?
Yeah, I mean, I hate it for those guys to have a bad race the way that they did. But, as soon as we kind of knew the situation there, it was definitely going to be racing for the win first and foremost, but knew that we had a good opportunity to capitalize and get a good points day out of it. So really just looking for the win there at the end, but a second place wasn't looking too bad either. And Rob put up a heck of a fight. It was a lot of fun racing with him.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun to watch as well, I must say. You've got a couple of races left this year, 3 of them to be exact, and we're kind of shifting away from the short track vibe for a little bit, going to Kansas next week. You feeling confident going into there?
Yeah, actually, I think intermediates have been pretty strong for me recently, so feeling pretty good about that one. We'll kind of see how the race plays out. Can be a little bit tough to pass there, but with the way that our races have shook out this year and as clean as hell the racing has been, I'm really looking forward.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to being able to call them up here in the booth as well. Before we let you go for tonight, anyone you want to give a thank you or a shout out to after your first win of the season?
Oh yeah, of course, as always, got to thank.
I think we may have lost him there for a second. All right. Unfortunately, I think we lost Will Hartman there for a second, but nonetheless, he's very thankful to all of you he was about to mention. Looks like Rob Haynes has caught up with the likes of Adam Lindgren for second place.
That's right. We have Rob Haynes now. And Rob Haynes, great, fantastic race you had today. Another top 5 for you and a good points day. What do you think about that final race there?
Oh, thanks, Adam. That was great. Racing William there at the end, man, some good laps there, some tight racing, and man, I thought I had him a couple of times, but I just couldn't stick that inside line. She wouldn't hold down there, and he was able to sneak by on the outside. But congrats to the number 67 William there.
And this is the first race where we've had a green flag pit stop for strategy purposes. When you knew that was coming up, I mean, Dover's a hard place to get it wound down into pit lane. Was that something you were stressing about during this race?
No, I was right behind William at that time, and he called it out on track. So I was able to jump in right behind him, and I didn't want to push an extra lap because I know tires mean a lot here. So if he had come in there a lap early, I'd have been in trouble. I'd have been at least a couple of seconds further back and wouldn't have been able to catch him. So I'm glad it worked out the way it did. We both had good pit stops, and it was a tight battle. I hope it looked good for the fans out there watching.
It was a great battle. Second to second, coming home in your starting position tonight. Is there anybody you want to thank tonight, Rob?
Yeah, you guys, the Global SimRacing Channel, Forever Coupleless Racing, Precision Racing League, and everything that Jerome does, and all the admins. We appreciate it. And ETC, Established Traffic Control. William on the hard fought battle, man. I wish I could have pulled that one off, but I'll take the second tonight, and hopefully that'll improve my points position a little bit. And congrats to Thomas there too. I seen him in my rearview mirror, and I know he went on a little bit of a different strategy. I guess you guys will probably talk about that, but I think it was a good call. He ended up in front of us there and gave us I don't know, it took us 5 or 6 laps to get by him, I think. So that was a good call on his part, and appreciate the fans watching. Thanks for everything you guys do.
All right, and that was a very enthusiastic and thankful Rob Haynes as we take it over to Nick, who's got Thomas Sink, our third place finisher and hard charger of the night.
I do. It's a podium finish and a hard-earned one, well-earned one as well for Thomas Sink. Started way back in dead last P20 and charged his way up to third. Talk about that fight up through the field today.
Yeah, it was a great run. Didn't think I had it in me because I didn't have any practice in the truck until maybe 15 minutes before the race. I was at work and had to run home real quick and jump into the race.
Absolutely. It's a great run, though. I mean, despite all of that, definitely looked like you had tons of practice under your belt. You're on a little bit of a different strategy there, tires and fuel. It looked like all of a sudden we saw you up into the top 5, and maybe even at the end there a chance to win if you'd able to hold off Hartman and Haynes.
Yeah, I don't know if I was able to do that. I came in and got 4 tires and just a few gallons of fuel, and then I was out in front of them for a while, and then they had 2 laps fresher tires, and they were just able to run me down. And I tried to hold them a little bit, but I got a lot of respect for these guys, so I just I raced them hard, but I moved over and let them go. And as you could see, they were 4 or 5 seconds ahead of me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great showing nonetheless for you tonight. Hopefully we get to talk to you up here in the booth again in the next coming races. You looking forward to next week at Kansas, or would you rather stick with these short tracks?
Short tracks tend to be my strong suit, but with me and the guys at ETC and then the Wetterback team, we always tend to practice and know exactly what we're going to run the next week. So I feel that we're going to be strong enough to compete. I'd also like to thank Vested and Canine for sponsoring the truck today. Sandy and all of them at Vested and Canine put their name on the truck. They donate ballistic vests and spike-resistant vests to canine dogs, whether it be police or military.
Awesome. They put up an awesome showing for them. I'm sure they're proud of bringing a podium finish home as well. So hopefully we get to talk to you again soon, but congratulations tonight on your 3rd place finish.
Thanks, guys.
That was Thomas Sink coming home in 3rd place after starting 20th, and all of those drivers giving lots of thank yous and shout outs. We also want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out tonight for the 7th round in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, especially everyone who helps over in the organization and behind the scenes behind the scenes logistics at the Precision Racing League. We also want to thank Established Traffic Control once again for sponsoring tonight's race, and an additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We of course want to thank the very talented June Lalonde, who provides our music as well. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team tonight, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. Make sure you check out the GSRC on social media. You can do that on our website on globalsimracingchannel.com, on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, on Instagram at GSRC_Graham, and of course on our YouTube channel right here, right now. I would invite you to scroll down just a touch and hit that big red subscribe button so you do not miss a second of racing. That's going to do it for the racing tonight here in the Precision Racing League. But that's not going to do it for the racing tonight here on the Global Sim Racing Channel, because just in a few moments, tonight at 10:30 Eastern, the Sim Racers for Mental Health Truck Series has 100 more miles of exciting truck racing right here at Dover. I highly recommend you stick around for that. The PRL NASCAR Truck Series will as well be back next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Round 8, like I said earlier, at Kansas Speedway, for some fun multi-groove mile-and-a-half action. Make sure to mark that down on your calendar and come join us. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast tonight. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.